Am I wrong for refusing to be a bridesmaid in my sister's wedding? I, 24 female, have a sister, 28 female, Lexi. Lexi and I used to be really close and she was basically my best friend. However, around 7 or 8 months ago, I found out my boyfriend, Jonah, was cheating on me with her. And now they're getting married in August. We hadn't talked since then until she called me the other day asking me if I would be one of her bridesmaids. I told her I didn't want to do that and she was messed up for even asking that. She said that it would mean a lot to her since I'm her only sister. It didn't mean a lot to you when you were sleeping with her boyfriend, like what, the double standard? She also told me that she already bought the dress. Then said I would be letting her down and wasting the money she spent on the dress. I said that just because she bought me a dress doesn't mean I have to be in her wedding. She started crying and telling me how I was being insensitive and holding a grudge against her. I tried to tell her that I was sorry, but she didn't listen and hung up. Now, yesterday my parents invited me over for dinner, but what I didn't know is that Lexi had called them and told them what I said. So, halfway through dinner, my mom, out of nowhere, says that I should be Lexi's bridesmaid. I told her I really didn't want to. She then said that Lexi told her what happened and that I shouldn't care about Jonah and just do it for Lexi. I said I was not going to be in a wedding with my cheating ex-boyfriend and watch him marry my sister. My dad got angry and called me selfish and kicked me out of their house. My parents haven't spoken to me, neither has Lexi. I feel like a bitch now, but I also feel like I deserve to feel angry. I'm just so conflicted on what to do. Am I wrong for saying no?
My girlfriend thinks that she becomes a demon when she sleeps. A literal demon, as in possession. I didn't believe her until I saw it. Here's what happened. Before we jump in, just want to let you know this is a spooky story. My girlfriend talks in her sleep. She's been saying the most horrible things recently, but I'm infatuated with her. Utterly infatuated. And it wasn't at a healthy level. Far from it. I would think about her every moment she was away. I would sometimes sit on my couch and just stare at my phone waiting for her to text. I'd tell myself, don't contact her. Don't. It will come off as too strong. But then I'd still find myself clicking her name on my contact list before my inner voice would continue. You don't want her to know how desperately smitten you are with her. It's unattractive. It will scare her off. No. You must wait for her to call you this time, but it was excruciating and exhausting, almost unbearable. I once heard that the ancient Greeks believed that falling madly and irrationally in love with someone was a curse that you would wish upon your enemies. I could never understand what they meant. After all, isn't falling head over heels in love the ultimate goal nowadays? But now that it's happened to me, I have to say, the ancient Greeks were right. This is a curse. I was barely in control of myself, almost as though my infatuation with her had possessed me. The two of us were in the phase where we were being frisky together, but still in the dating phase. We were at the make or break era of a blossoming relationship where we'd either have the talk and formally be in a relationship, or we would slowly start to drift apart. The latter of which I don't think I would be able to cope with. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to. Almost everything about her captivated me. The way she held her hand over her mouth when she laughed, how she'd caress the pendant of her necklace when she was frightened, how she'd twirl her hair in her finger when she was excited, all of it. Her smell, her smile, her eyes. Yeah, I know, it probably makes you sick hearing about it. I feel the same way. I was never the hopeless romantic type, but now I can't stop fantasizing about her. I'd think about us doing the long 3-hour hike up to that magnificent view from one of our first dates, to that first kiss, as we overlook the lights of the city. But this time, I'd get down on one knee, bring out the ring, and, well, you know what would happen next. Alright, fine, I'll stop. Yes, this is a girl that I'd only been casually dating for a couple of months. I shouldn't be thinking about proposing yet. I know that. I'm just barely able to control myself any longer. I feel as though I'm losing power over the decisions I make. And that brings me to why I'm here, writing this out at the moment. It started with the very first real thing that troubled me about her. We'd never actually spent a night together. No matter how late she was over, once either of us showed signs of being tired, she'd up and leave. She wouldn't leave awkwardly or in anger, just a casual kiss goodnight, a smile, and call me soon. It was something I didn't really even notice the first few times she did it, but after almost 8 weeks of dating, it was becoming strange. I'd have to ask her about it. It took drinking almost an entire bottle of wine before I had the courage to do it. She looked almost defeated when I asked her and lowered her eyes in embarrassment and said, "I knew this talk would come eventually." She started. She took in a deep breath with a long drawn-out exhale. "Recently," she paused again, "I've started talking in my sleep." She shook her head in embarrassment. "It's called somniloquy. I looked it up." I shrugged and laughed out loud. My demeanor seemed to say, "That's it?" "No, Stephen, listen," she said. She wasn't laughing. It's bad. It's completely out of control. It's not just random words or gibberish. No, it's horrible. I say horrible, disgusting things. She was starting to raise her voice, breathe heavy, and tear up. I approached her and held her. I told her it couldn't be that bad. I told her to spend the night, and I told her she was probably exaggerating. I was wrong. That night she stayed at my house, but she warned me of something before falling asleep. Whatever you do, don't wake me up. It makes me really scared and disoriented if that happens. And don't respond to me. Just ignore it. I nodded and agreed. If it becomes too much, she continued, just leave the room and sleep on the couch. I won't mind. I told her not to worry about it. I told her it wouldn't be a big deal. I told her I wouldn't leave to the couch. I'd stay beside her in the bed. But I was wrong. I couldn't even last one night. We both fell asleep without incident. I don't know how many hours passed, but I woke up in the dark with a sensation that someone was watching me. And then I remembered she was with me. She was actually spending the night. I smiled, but then I noticed the shadowy outline of her sitting up on the bed. She was looking down at me, staring. It creeped me out. I'll admit it. Her posture was entirely different. It was though she wasn't even her at all. Then she spoke. It wasn't her voice that I heard. It was much lower and gravelly, like something out of a horror movie.
I'll chill the skin from your bones.
I froze. At first, I just kept looking at her. This is not at all what I expected. I thought it would be more like the way that Tourette's is often portrayed, just some random swearing and shouting. I honestly thought to myself, what will I do if she attacks me right now? What if she really does try to chew the skin from my bones? But then, she just lied down and went to sleep. I was creeped out. I tried to lie back down and ignore her, but struggled. I couldn't even close my eyes without thinking, maybe she's sitting up again and staring at me. And then one time I rolled over to look at her, and she was. Her face was pressed right towards mine. Her breath was foul and rotted, something that was most certainly not normal for her. She spoke again in the same voice as before.
If you don't move to the couch, you'll be dead by morning.
That did it for me. I sat up in a moment and headed for the living room. She made some sort of wheezing sound as I left. I think it was supposed to be laughter. I was lying on the couch, but I wasn't going to be able to fall asleep. I was far too shaken. I was staring out towards the window, hoping to see the first few hints of the sun rising. And then I thought I heard something from the bedroom. I listened, and then I heard it again.
Stay then.
It was that same low and gravelly voice. It sounded like a witch. I tried to ignore it at first, but then it continued.
Stay then.
Still, I said nothing.
I know you can hear me, Stephen. You're awake now. Why don't you come back into the bedroom?
The voice barely sounded human.
Or maybe you'd prefer if I come to you.
I still didn't say anything. I was told not to, but I listened. If I heard her start walking towards the bedroom door, I'm not even joking. I would have run right out of the apartment, but she had asked me not to respond to her in her sleep talking, so I didn't. And then I heard her once more.
Sorry if this spoils your plans.
She began laughing.
The two of you were supposed to walk that trail again.
She started. I wasn't even remotely prepared for what she'd say next.
You'd both be so tired when you'd reach the top. You'd look over the city. Then you'll get down on one knee and bring out the ring.
She began laughing. And that's when I realized this wasn't just a problem with sleep talking. It was something much more. Something supernatural. I had never told anyone about my proposal fantasy. There was simply no way she could have known about any of it. This was no longer about merely talking in one sleep. This was about possession. I can't go back into the bedroom. I have no idea what would happen if I did. Instead, I'm going to wait it out, holding up in my living room until the sun rises. I have a couple more hours yet. I can hear her laughing occasionally in the bedroom. It's still not her voice. Still that same low-pitched cackle. But as I sit on my couch writing this out, here is what scares me the most. Maybe my infatuation and utter obsession with her wasn't normal. I said before that I felt like I was losing control of myself. More so I believed in the typical falling in love story. No. I fear that the infatuation that I felt was the entity slowly taking control of me, of it controlling controlling my thoughts, my fears, my ambitions, and anxieties. Maybe once I become completely absorbed, a transfer would occur and she would be free of it. I know I should leave. That I should just open the front door, get in my car, and drive away from here. But I can't. I can't leave her. I've already lost control.
When I was in elementary school, there was this girl named Emily, and I'm using her government name this time. So Emily, in my head, I thought she was so cool. She had style. She was just lit. But when I'm reflecting back, bitch, she was a bitch. She was a bitch. She was mean. She didn't like anybody. And she only hung out with, like, the other mean girls who were not even popular. How are you gonna be mean? You're not even popular. Anyways, fast forward a couple years. I'm in the 5th grade, and it's the summer going into the 6th grade. So, if y'all didn't know, I'm an apartment kid. We grew up in the apartments, and y'all, we was bad as fuck. Everybody in the apartments was bad. Anyways, so one day, Emily moves in, right? And she is so excited and happy to be there to see me because it's been a while since I've seen anybody from that school. And so Emily has a brand new black scent to match her brand new personality, right? So I immediately started hanging out with her because I was the only option for her, if I'm being honest. So as we're hanging out, Emily's teaching me how to, like, lie to my mom, steal from my mom. She's, like, teaching me I need to wear things that are more sexy because that's what boys liked, and how she would, like, make fun of me as well. And I just didn't register that this was not a cool bitch, you know what I mean? Like, it just did not click with me yet. Okay, so me and Emily were just best friends, right? And I remember I invited her to my house one day so she could help me steal from my mom or whatever when my mom wasn't there. So she comes in and she looks at the baby pictures that are up on the wall like any normal person would. And she sees my brother. And if y'all didn't know, I have 2 of them. She sees one of my brothers hooked up to all of these machines in one of his baby pictures. He's hooked up to a breathing thing. He's got wires coming out of him. And quite frankly, I'm not even gonna lie, he did look like he was dying in the picture, but he's alive and well. So Emily looks at this and she's like in complete disgust on her face. She's like, what is this? And I was like, oh, that's my brother. She knows him. We would all hang out with each other and hang out and play and just do whatever, right? And she was like, what? Is he okay? And I tell her, I was like, yeah, like, what do you mean? And she was like, what the fuck even is this? What's wrong with him? And I was like, whoa, well, nothing's wrong with him. He was just born premature, and that's why he is hooked up to all this machinery. See, my mom taught me to just educate others when it comes to things that they don't know or understand. So that's what I was doing, bitch. So Emily just did not like this, right? So at the end of the day, we're having a good time until Emily made it not a good time. She went around the apartment complex telling everybody that my brother was stupid, dumb, and slow and to not hang out. Emily going around telling everybody my brother is stupid, and the bitch even had the nerve to wait like 3 days after the fact, right? And she does it behind my back, of course, because she was just talking shit about every single person there behind their backs to me. So why wouldn't she do that to me? And I had to find out through other people that she was going around doing this, right? So then I remember I was talking to my mom about this, and I was like, I cannot believe this was like my first like friend betrayal, because I was like, this has never been a problem for anybody that's ever asked or inquired, right? And so I remember I was talking to my mom about this, and she's like trying to give her input. But then I remember I heard the front door open. It was my oldest brother who came in, and I hid in the closet, and it was like a sitcom moment. I just wanted to be dramatic and jump out and scare him originally, right? And so my brother goes and tells my mom, he's like, hey mom, there's this little kid in the apartment complex telling everybody that my brother's dumb and this, that, and the other, and how it was my fault, because that's what the girl was telling everybody, that these were my thoughts as well. And my oldest brother was like, yeah, you need to like do something about it, blah blah blah. My oldest brother obviously wasn't gonna press no little kid, but I'm not saying he couldn't, I'm just saying he didn't, okay? So I hear all of this being in the closet, and I just start breaking down crying because I didn't really realize how bad it was getting. So then I sucked up all my tears after my brother had left, and I get out of the closet, and my mom's just like lost the words. So I go outside, and I'm looking for Emily. I'm fucking looking for Emily now. I'm like, what the fuck? So I go up to Emily, I find her, and I'm like, why are you talking shit? And she's like, oh no, but it's true. She's like, it's true though. And so I'm looking at her, and you guys, it takes a lot to get me to want to fight. But for whatever reason, not even this, I didn't hit her. Because for whatever reason, I didn't want to get in trouble, this, that, and the other. And I've never, at that point, had been in a fight before, outside of my siblings. And oh my god, she just pissed me off so bad. And I just remember cussing her out, being a fucking bitch. I didn't even fucking fight her. Cussing her out and not talking to her anymore, and telling all the kids that she's told that wasn't true. And I actually had to go talk to those kids' parents because they clearly didn't understand what the fuck was really going on, because this was kind of serious, right? So everything got sorted out for the most part. There were still kids who were being dickheads and who didn't want to play with my brother. But that's neither here nor there. But maybe a couple months later, my girl Jasmine, my new best friend Jasmine at the time, she went and she beat the fuck out of Emily. She moved after that. So
I don't have friends, and this is not me being like quirky. Like, I do not have a single friend in California besides my boyfriend Luke. Now, to be fair, I do have acquaintances, but nobody that I could call up tonight and be like, hey, do you want to go to dinner with me? You're like, why don't you make those acquaintances your friends? I don't want to. I don't want to take those like building block steps to becoming friends. I just want to be your best friend already. I know within 20 minutes if I want to be your best friend. And you're like, what are the qualities you're looking for? Oh, negativity. Not negativity to other people, but somebody that's got a little bit of chip on their shoulder in a funny way. A little bit of salt to them. That's just what I get along with best. Why, you ask? Because my parents, I come from a family that is very like, say what's on your mind. I think it's very truthful and honest. We are not people that tiptoe around something. Like, we're like the Grinch, but in a funny way. Anyway, every time I've encountered somebody that is extremely nice, they are the worst people. People that are too nice, I'm like, what are you hiding? And they are always the people that will turn around and talk bad about you behind your back. I like somebody that's going to tell you right to your face, you look like garbage today. Thank you. I appreciate your honesty. Now here's the thing. I met a girl 8 years ago on a dance job, and she was a tough cookie. She's like, Kirby, you're on the wrong count. Kirby, you're on the wrong foot. And I'm like, this is a type of friend for me. We were best friends. She's still my best friend, but best friends for 8 years. Within 20 minutes, there was no awkwardness. It was like we were best friends. We'd known each other our whole lives. Now here's the kicker. The bastard left California. She just up and moved. So she's left me here alone. We're in a long distance friendship. And I'm like, what? Damn it. So if you have any like salt to you, a little bit of a get down in the dirt sort of attitude, send me a DM on Instagram. I'm looking for friends.